I don't think enough women are exercising their style gut muscle because you have it and you need to own it.
What I'm putting on externally is only the catalyst, the mirror to the energy I want to portray. And the energy is what people feel from us.
100%. When I was 17, I went through a car window and was in a terrible car accident. I had 4 consecutive surgeries on my face. I didn't believe that people would like me or think I was attractive. It was a journey.
It takes courage to step into it and allow yourself to be seen, allow yourself to be supported, allow yourself to be transformed.
If I don't do this for myself, nobody will do this for me.
What do you think are the 3 easiest ways that someone can upgrade their style with minimum effort and minimum money spent?
First things first.
I have such a special guest joining me for today's podcast, my own stylist, and I actually like to call her my style fairy godmother, Risa Kostas. She is a fashion stylist. She's the co-founder of the Rescue Kit Company, and she's someone who her work and her impact goes so far beyond style. In fact, today we're going to talk about just the power of style itself and how what we wear can impact not just what we believe about ourselves, but the energy that we carry in the world. So if you're someone who wants to upgrade your style, you don't know what to wear to the Powerhouse Women Event, or you just are curious about different ways to access a deeper level of confidence in yourself, then today's episode is for you. Risa Kostas, welcome to Powerhouse Women.
Thank you for having me again.
You've been a part of so many episodes because you are not just a fashion stylist, you're my stylist. And we have collaborated on so many of my favorite looks, from Powerhouse Women events to retreats to podcast days to the very outfit that I'm wearing today. Which then you walk in something completely coordinating, which is also very us.
We did not phone a friend before this exchange happened. I knew somehow I was channeling you. And I'm so happy to see you in one of our style fits and just looking fab as ever.
We're going to talk today about the power of style and how what you wear actually can transform how you feel about yourself. It's something that, I talk about a lot within Powerhouse Women. You do this for a living. And as we approach the Powerhouse Women event, I posted something on my stories the other day because it occurred to me through a DM exchange I was having that there are some women that may be sitting on the fence feeling like they should be in that room, and the thing that's stopping them is being a little bit intimidated because they've heard or they've seen that the style and the self-expression piece of the Powerhouse Women event actually is intimidating if that's new for you. So we're going to break it down. We're going to even give you maybe just like a couple of tips to take into the Powerhouse Women event and really talk about your story and your journey, because what you do is so much deeper than style. It really is transformation at its core. And you're this, I call you my style fairy godmother, because you have this ability to help me see myself through your eyes as a more empowered, more confident version of myself. What has been your personal journey with that, with your own confidence and your own relationship to your power?
You've already got me tearing up. Oh my God. Already, I'm looking at you and I'm really looking in your eyes and listening and just taking that in. So thank you for that. And thinking also about the Powerhouse Women event and just being in the room, I was flashing back to a year that I wasn't really able to stay for the whole day, but I had worked with you as we typically do on collaborating on your look, because you always get the vision for what you want to wear. And I'm going to go off topic a little bit here, but I just flashed back in my brain and I really wanted to be in the room that year, but I wasn't energetically present and I couldn't be there, like mentally, physically. It just wasn't going to work for me that year, but I needed to like see you off into the wild and just watch you have your big moment and take the stage. And I walked into the room in like a vintage sweatshirt that I had found on Etsy, no makeup, I think cut off shorts, jean shorts, sneakers, and like a crossbody bag. And I looked a hot mess, and I looked around the room and I just was taking in all the fashion and thinking to myself, like, there was a version of me that would have never walked in a room like this as a wardrobe stylist, looking the way that I do and being around all these powerful women and just thinking about like, would I have ever done this before? And do I even want to be doing this right now? Like I am my calling card. I am Lindsay's stylist. I am like a hot mess right now. I'm like mentally not even like present enough to be here, but I needed to be there for you. I needed to show up for you in that moment. And it wasn't about myself. And I also realized like it didn't matter what I was wearing. I wanted to just show up. And I feel like that is a metaphor for just what I do for a living for people is like, all things aside, yes, I care about getting dressed, right? But it does go so much deeper than that. Like it is so much more about that. It's like embodying the confidence in yourself first. And like what we wear is the full expression of that. Like it ends up being like the full embodiment of like who we are, right? It gets us to the finish line of whatever we're doing that day or where we are in our life or whatever this big event is or whatever. But I was like, I'm okay that I look like a hot mess. Like, look at all these powerful people. Everyone looked different. Everyone was wearing what they wanted to wear. I saw everything from sequins and sparkles to ruffles to t-shirts and jeans to, some people took some major risks. People did the best they could. People showed up as the best version of themselves. And I was just like so proud of everybody for being in that room. And then I was like proud of myself for doing what I do best and showing up for you in that moment and just being vulnerable. And so much of my journey, to go back to your question, is about just being proud to show up and feeling the confidence, earning the confidence for myself. And my journey has just been so up and down. It's been so left, right, and center. Like it has not been a straight line. And realizing that like, all that matters is that I show up for myself. And at the end of the day, like I show up for the people that I'm taking care of in my most authentic way. And I empower them the way that I've been able to empower myself.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said. And I want to go back to that moment and how you were feeling stepping into the Powerhouse Women event. And that moment where you were able to acknowledge yourself for showing up no matter how you were feeling that day. And, I think that's really the heart of it is, we've curated a space that is actually welcoming. Mm-hmm. It actually is the most welcoming room, no matter what you're wearing, no matter how you're feeling that day. Because I've even had years where the event day, I'm not feeling my best. But I know that when I step into the room, we've done the groundwork to create the welcoming environment, but it takes the confidence, the courage, sometimes not even the confidence, it's just really the courage to step into it and allow yourself to be seen, allow yourself to be supported, allow yourself to be transformed. And you've been such a big part of that in big and small ways because my style transformation has been such a big part of the growth of the brand, the growth of me. And so I want to go back to what this journey has looked like for you because we didn't know each other this long ago, but at 17, you had a really pivotal moment that completely changed the trajectory of your life. And I want you to take us back to that and share how it shaped you and this career that you've built for yourself.
Yeah. So when I was 17, I went through a car window and was in a terrible car accident just as I was leaving for college. And I was set to be a cheerleader in college and was going to be in front of the public eye and had dreams of being a Broadway actress and singer and dancer. I mean, I'm not giving up on that dream yet.
You're like, still have dreams, asterisk.
If anyone is listening. And it just completely derailed my life. And I didn't really quite know how much at the time because traumatic brain injury really wasn't talked about. And I came from a household of a very hardcore educator. My mom was in education for over 30 years, 40 years. And my parents were also going through a divorce at the time. The focus was really not, of course, once everybody knew I was okay, it was like, okay, she's okay. Let's get her off to school because there were so many other major life events happening at the time. And I did the thing. I did what I was supposed to do. I went off to college. I cheered. I was thrown in the air, probably not doing anything for my brain. And a year and a half in, major PTSD set in.
Yeah.
Major realizations that memory loss was there, brain injury was there, depression was there, all of these things that were so unfamiliar to me that took me just completely out of my body, thinking that class was at a certain time and sitting outside the room, and then my class would all filter out and my group would look at me and say, you completely missed our presentation, we're going to fail. And I just had no idea what time it was. Like I would look at my watch and be completely deceived by my brain. My friends had to have an intervention with me and they were like, you have a problem. You're crying every day. You're missing school. Let's figure this out. And when I told my parents I needed to leave school, like something was going on with my brain, they just like didn't register. It didn't compute for them. And finally I said, like, listen, I need to come home. I need a break. And I enrolled in community college just to keep like things from being too wavy and bumpy. Failed out of those classes and was like, really, truly, I have a brain injury. Like, this has got to stop. I need a break. And from that point on, I was on my own with no support because I wasn't following the guidelines and doing all the things that were expected of me. And I was taking a taboo route of leaving school. So that presented all of the challenges of just a non-traditional route. And I had to fend for myself. So I ended up going to cosmetology school in Boston because that was what I felt like, you know, going back to my early childhood, theater and dance and things, performance, those were important things to me. And it's where I really developed a love of the head to toe look. And my mom was a seamstress, so I watched her sewing every day at her sewing machine. And she would create looks for me and basically made me my own ready to wear line whenever I wanted it. So sewing and fashion and beauty were such a huge part of my life. I didn't realize they were the true fabric of my life until like I started really talking about it as an adult and really thinking like, this isn't just like a part of my childhood. This is like a part of me. This is who I am. Like everything that I have done in my life has led me to this point. And I had a knack for doing everyone's hair and makeup. So I figured, you know what, like I need a job. I need health insurance. Like I actually have to live. I'm on my own now. So I took myself to cosmetology school and turned it into a career. I did a wedding for a friend and she trusted me enough to do it. It went well. And I ended up taking that, moving across the country to San Francisco, launching my first business at 21, doing hair and makeup for weddings, turning that into a fashion career, and worked for a fashion designer doing production, manufacturing, account management, PR, and, you know, liaison with our PR firm in New York City. I went all over the world. Think Devil Wears Prada, but even crazier. Book coming eventually. And, you know, just traveled the world with this company, learned everything there was to know about a startup. And I was working with people who had started companies and sold them for multi-millions of dollars and was really getting boots on the ground training in the fashion industry. It was an experience that I felt like was so necessary. It was like cutthroat for me. Like if I didn't learn this and if I didn't succeed at this, I had no backup plan. I had nothing to fall back on. I had no degree. I didn't believe that people would like me or think I was attractive or want to be with me or take care of me or want to marry me with the way that I looked. I had had 4 consecutive surgeries on my face before I moved to Boston to go to cosmetology school. And I had dealt with so much trauma and surgeries. Like it was a journey to be able to actually leave the East Coast and be done with those surgeries and move on with my life. And so if I didn't succeed out there in the real world and take care of myself, I had no backup plan. So it was like real world experience that I needed to make work. It was out of necessity. It was out of desperation. And it was coming from a place of, if I don't do this for myself, nobody will do this for me. And it was where I developed the kind of grit and resilience that only happens when you feel like you are on the edge of a cliff and you have nowhere else to go. You are constantly falling. Like you are waving your arms at the edge of a cliff and there is just air below you. Mm-hmm. That is how it felt for my entire 20s. And I made the most of every single thing that I did. If I was doing a freelance job that was paying me $100, I was going to work so hard for that $100. You would think that I was getting paid $1 billion. Like, you would think there was the biggest paycheck on the other side of that job. I fought so hard for my life. I eventually ended up moving to New York City because that company in handbags and shoes failed and ran out of money. And the CEO looked at me and said, this company's going under. You need to figure out what your next step is. So I moved to New York and got a job as an in-house public relations director in a women's fashion company. And that was crazy. I had no real PR experience and beat out like 60 girls for that job. I don't honestly know how, but I actually do. I say that, but I'm going to change that story. I got that job based on the grit and resilience I just discussed, but the power of the networking and relationships that I had learned how to build at that time was unmatched.
Yeah.
Like, I was fighting for my life, but I was also learning that relationships were the cornerstone of every single thing that I did. If I could build relationships with people and I could show them that I was a valuable asset to not only them in their business, but them in their life, like, they could trust me with their life. I am somebody of integrity, and I'm somebody that operates with kindness, and I am somebody who has been through the ringer. So I am here for you. And I lived my life like that. The principles of my life were those things: integrity and kindness and hard work. And that got me so far.
Yeah.
And that's why I got that job. And I got to do the coolest things. I got to do like New York Fashion Week and ended up on the Today Show with Bobby Thomas and just some really cool opportunities. And I decided after, a year and a half of that, the economy was tanking, that it was time to get that piece of paper, get that degree for myself, not for anyone else but me. Because I knew if I was going to start a business one day, which I knew I would after starting my hair and makeup company, I knew I would go back somehow, some way and end up doing something in the fashion industry, something with all of this crazy amount of work that I had now under my belt, that I wanted that piece of paper for me. Like, I just wanted it. It was my own cloud. It was my own sort of stamp of approval. It was for nobody else but me. And I did it. So I moved to Arizona, got my degree, and started my styling business in 2014.
I have had the benefit of being your friend for the last, 6-7 years now. So I know your story. But hearing you share it in that way and thinking about myself at 17, 18 years old, much less going through everything you went through, the facial reconstruction, and now thinking about the depth of purpose it gives you and helping people feel beautiful no matter what they see in the mirror, it just makes me emotional. When you look back at the journey now, what do you think that 17-year-old Risa would say if she could see what you've built?
Oh my gosh. It's so funny because I think about how I don't really feel that different from her sometimes.
Totally get that.
I just think about how, even though I went through so much trauma and so much pain, in so many ways, I am exactly the same person as I was then. I would have never known that I had to fight so hard, but I think there's always been this fight inside of me. I didn't know for what, I don't think, when I was a lot younger, but I think looking back, as much as I feel the same, I think I'm just so proud, so proud, because I do think about the things that I had to go through. Mm-hmm. And I'm so proud of the way that I handled it. And I had some burned relationships along the way just because the trauma that I was going through, it was so unbearable that I know I hurt some people in my own healing journey. I also know that I didn't heal in the proper time frame. It took me years and years to get the therapy and the help that I know I needed mentally after going through that, because nobody looked at me and said, hey, you're going to have some residual effects from this. You should really stop, look, and listen. Nobody did that for me. So I know there were some relationships and there were also some situations I put myself in that were unsafe and harmful. And I definitely dated all of the wrong people. I definitely seeked out friendships and relationships that were so unhealthy. So I made some mistakes along the way, but through all of that, I would look back at that young girl and say, you overcame so many things with so little support.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change anything about the way that I handled myself. I'm so proud of the way that I navigated those waters.
Yeah. You know, you talked about the relationship piece, and it was something I was going to ask you about, because as someone who is not only a client, a friend, someone who, you know, we're in similar circles, and I've watched how you cultivate relationships. There's truly no one better, because you approach it with this attitude of service and an energy that you really don't expect or need anything in return, that it does create that safety. Hearing you share about your approach and your mentality to creating relationships, that was the first time I put those two pieces together. That's what it feels like with you, is it feels so safe. Mm-hmm. And you are oftentimes in people's homes, you're in people's closets, and that is kind of an intimate experience. And you're working with celebrities, very well-known people. You're working with people that probably don't let a lot of other people into their closets or their lives. And I want you to speak to that as a business owner, because you know the Powerhouse Women community, and there's so many of us who are building big dreams, whether it's a business or pursuing a passion project. What would be your best tips for building relationships to build your business? Mm-hmm. Because this is like a masterclass, and someone who has truly walked the talk when it comes to building a business that is purely cultivated on the most beautiful, authentic relationships.
Oh, thank you. That's like the highest compliment I could ever receive. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I also think it's important to recognize a people-pleasing relationship versus an authentic relationship, and looking to cultivate a relationship out of that space, like you just mentioned, where you don't expect anything in return, like a real relationship where you're really operating with no expectation in return, out of a place where you know it's the long game and you're there purely because you want to be there, not because you're ever going to get something out of it. So I would say you absolutely want to start there. And I have extremely strong boundaries. A person who's meeting me for the first time is going to probably think that I'm friends with everybody and that I have a massive circle and that I'm constantly hanging out with people and that I'm out and about all the time and that I'm a girl about town and that I go to everything. And it's actually the complete opposite. So I keep a very, very close circle of trusted people. And my client relationships, although they do sometimes cross over into personal relationships, are very professional, and I do cultivate a very safe space for people. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I think I do really, really well is break down the walls immediately. And I humanize myself immediately. And when I am working with somebody one-to-one, so if you are in a service-based business like I am and you're consulting or you're in somebody's home or you're one-to-one with them or you're in a dressing room with them or you're face-to-face with them, not on a Zoom or whatever it is, you really want to sort of break down any of those, like those walls where you're, number one, feeling better than them or making them think that you are better than them. Like, humanize yourself, find a common ground with them, and say something that feels really familiar to them, and it all of a sudden puts you on that like level playing field. Mm-hmm. But like listening to them, like, I think is the most important thing. I do have, I think, a power in understanding my clients and not making it at all about myself. Like, I think one of the things that happens in my industry is there's a very strong point of view with styling, and people like to express upon their clients what they think they should be wearing. And while I think people do hire clients for a very specific point of view because they don't even want to think about it, and maybe they are trying to figure out what their style is, for me specifically, I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know what your
Yeah.
lifestyle is like. I want to collaborate with you. We do that really well, you and I. Like, I love when you bring things to the table for me to review. I love your point of view. So I think really listening to people and really hearing their point of view, because I think the more we can be a sponge for what our clients have to offer us, I think the stronger you can be as a duo with them, and then the stronger relationship you can build. While you are maybe the quote unquote expert or professional for them in the room, chances are they have so much more to offer them than you're allowing them to. And I think that I've used that practice across the board in both my friendships and my client relationships.
That's so true, right? It's like no matter what industry we're in, seeing ourselves for the expertise that we bring, because that's important to walk in with confidence. But it's almost like keeping that spirit of curiosity. Let me just see what I can learn from you, or what I can, because that's one of my favorite things about how we work together in a styling sense is our relationship has always been collaborative. As I started my journey in building Powerhouse Women, was starting to realize the power of style and how what I wore could influence the way that I saw myself, which just gave me that little edge to show up with more confidence or put myself in a really uncomfortable, scary, bold situation and feel transformed on the other side. So by the time that you and I started working together, I trusted my own intuition on what I wanted to wear. And you so beautifully have been willing to come alongside me and let me kind of lead and say, okay, here's the vision. And for the Powerhouse Women event, I say this every year, the outfit chooses me. It does. It's the weirdest, most spiritual connection. I just know when I see it, okay, that's it. But then bringing your perspective in to help take that look to a place that I never could have imagined. And I think it speaks to a few things. This isn't just about style. This is about owning your own expertise, but having that spirit of curiosity. But then on the client side, I think one of the things that makes me successful in what I've built is I find people who are really great at things that I have blind spots in. And I hire them and I get out of their way. Or I hire them and I trust them when they say, okay, consider this type of shoe, or consider this type of, okay, if we pull this together. And it always comes out like the outfits we put together are my favorite looks that I have ever worn. And then every time we create a new one, I'm like, now this is my favorite. I didn't think I could top the lime green with the 3-foot-long braid, but it's become this creative outlet. And I want to speak to that because style for me was never something that I really looked at as a component of my business in the way that I do now. So knowing that we're speaking to the Powerhouse Women audience, I want you to speak to the power of style to transform how we show up and how we feel about ourselves.
And I just want to say to your last point, I was surprised when you first reached out to me to style you.
No way.
Yes, because I thought Lindsay has such a strong point of view. She always looks so cute and like she knows what she's doing. And, why does she need me? And like,
I need you.
But then I realized like the collaboration aspect to it, I was actually seeking out clients who were willing to collaborate on that high level with me, who weren't necessarily like 100% dependent on me.
Yeah.
But who would look to me as somebody who was a partner in their style. So I wanted to just state that for the record. So I think for people who are unsure about whether or not they have style, I bring it out in people when they come to me and say, no, you do. Trust yourself, trust your gut. Like you exercised that gut muscle for your style. I don't think enough women are exercising their style gut muscle. And I would like to encourage everyone, the Powerhouse Women community, to dig deep into that style gut muscle and pull it out for the event because you have it and you need to own it. And I just think it's so important to put an exclamation mark on that.
Yeah. I actually want to stay on this for a second, and then we'll circle back to my original question. As we do, this is how our conversations go.
Go back.
Because here's what you helped me connect right there. I was not someone who was stylish. I used to call myself the vanilla sister because I have a younger sister who's so self-expressed. She can walk into a vintage store, and often does, and come out putting together the most creative, authentic to her outfit, and the way she carries it has an energy that I want to emulate. But I would call myself the vanilla sister. Up until this was around the time that I was about to publish my book, I said it one time and I heard myself say it, and I realized I was applying that label to myself. I was accepting this label that I didn't actually even want. And it was because what was missing is I didn't understand how to find my own version of what I was seeing in her. So back to the point about using your gut intuition, here's where it started. For me, I looked at the women who I was inspired by. I looked at someone who I would see an outfit, or take my sister, for example, who's like my biggest muse. I want to be just like her when I grow up. She's just the most incredible person inside and out, and she's so effortlessly cool. If I tried to do style exactly the same way she does, it wouldn't translate the same way on me. So I had to pay attention to what's the energy that I'm feeling. And that's something you've helped me do, because sometimes I'll bring you outfits, or I mentioned to you one time, I said, I want to work on kind of like my street style casual wear. I said, I have this neighbor, this cute young, she's probably 20 something, and she just always looks put together. And you said, okay, what about it? Like, what is it about? Like, what is she wearing? And you have me step back and actually filter through, because I think my initial reaction, and this happens a lot as women, is like, that woman's stylish, I'm not. But I'm resonating with an energy that I'm feeling from her. And I think that's what I started to lean into with curiosity is, well, what is it? Okay, and then what would my version of, whether it's, ooh, I feel power from her. Okay, what could I wear and what would translate to me feeling powerful? Because what I'm putting on externally is only the catalyst, the mirror to the energy I want to portray. And that the energy is what people feel from us.
100%. You're hitting the nail on the head. When I walk in the room in the most heinous outfit and no makeup, and people say to me, oh, you look so cute, I want to say to them, are you crazy? But it's the energy that I bring into the room so many times. And that's the thing, is that, like, I want women to understand it isn't always about what you're wearing in that moment, but it's about doing that like inner work, and then, figuring out how you're showing up for yourself head to toe that day. But like, it really does come from this energy that you want to embody. And then let's build your wardrobe based around like how you're feeling that month, that year. I don't care. Like, build those core pieces, and then you may have a different personality every single day. It's like when people try to ask me, I just want to like find my style. I'm like, you're going to have to find a different stylist. I'm sorry. Because I don't put people in a box. I'm sorry. I don't. You're going to have like different personalities within your closet if you work with me, because we are going to evolve. One day we are going to dress in menswear, and you're going to be in a tie. I'm sorry, not sorry. And then the next day you're going to be in the girliest, flirtiest little short frilly dress. And you know what? Your goodies might be hanging out. It's just,
you're welcome.
You're welcome. Everybody else is welcome. But like, it's just, I don't know. I think it is about energy. I think it is about who you are in that moment. And so I love everything that you're saying. You're hitting it right on the head. And I think it was more like, I felt like you were finding your fashion voice, and I could see that happening. And I felt like, oh, she's good. She's got it. But yes, in those moments, it is good to rely on the people that are going to allow us to bring it out in ourselves too. And I think that's why we're a good fit, is because I'm not trying to take control over what your looks are. I'm trying to help you get to the next level. I'm trying to help you. I'm just trying to help you help me help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So let's speak to the person who maybe finds themselves in the shoes that I was in that was about 7-8 years ago, which isn't that long ago.
Mm-mm.
I truly had this self-perception of not being someone who was super stylish, but deep down had a desire to feel stylish, whatever my version of that was. What I didn't have the words for that I was actually feeling is I wanted to feel self-expressed. I wanted to feel willing to be seen. And that's essentially what style is it's a way to express our creativity, but it also requires us to be willing to be seen. And that's a whole other journey. So if someone is at the beginning of that journey and maybe wants to even use the Powerhouse Women event as that first little baby step and a place that feels safe to self-express, what would be the first 3 tips you would give for someone who wants to start to find their authentic style expression?
And let me just tell you, that is the place to do it. That is the safest place to do it. You heard it here first. Just take the leap, and this is how you're going to do it. Okay. First things first, you mentioned this earlier, finding a style inspiration. Who is your 20-year-old dog walking neighbor that you want to emulate? Who is the person for you? Because I think it really starts with like getting inspiration, right? We have to get it from somewhere, and we have to look at somebody else maybe and envision ourselves like as like walking down the street with that person, or like, I want to hang out with that person.
Yeah.
I kind of want to match her style. I don't want to be her because I don't really want to guide people to want to be wearing exactly what somebody else is wearing, but I love getting a vision for this feels like me. This feels like something that I would want to wear. So I think we need to figure out who is the style inspo. Is it Lindsay Schwartz up on stage? Is it, your mom? Is it your grandmother who had amazing vintage style? Whose closet are you raiding? And figure out who are maybe your top 3 style inspo queens. Make a vision board and save it as your screensaver, or make a physical vision board and start getting super clear on exactly what it is that you want for yourself. Yeah. Pinterest will also do the trick if you just want to make it quick and dirty. So get your style inspo immediately. And then I think if you are willing to work with somebody like me and do a quick like virtual consult, it's not as expensive as you think. It's very approachable. We can accomplish a lot in an hour on a virtual consult.
I will attest to that.
Right?
Absolutely.
You can accomplish a lot. And it could just be as simple as me sourcing pieces for you to get your wheels turning about where to shop and some risks to take, or maybe it's just some confidence building. So getting yourself in the space where you are taking the leap toward confidence, if that's hiring somebody, if that's shopping with a group of girlfriends, but what are you doing to like build that confidence muscle? Because it's one thing to like put something on a board, but it's another thing to get yourself like in that space of, okay, I'm going to buy the thing and I'm going to wear the thing, and again, Powerhouse Women, there is no better place to take a risk because everyone in that room is comfortable getting uncomfortable. Everyone in that room. So this is the time and place to wear the thing that maybe has been sitting in the back of your closet that you need to get tailored because you wanted to wear it to something special. Go get it tailored and figure it out. Like, this is the time. But really like start to build that confidence muscle, because I think we have so many limiting beliefs around what we think is appropriate for us and what is appropriate to walk out the door in. If I had $1 for every time I walked out the door in something that I thought somebody else would think was inappropriate, I'd be a billionaire. I could care less about what I wear based on other people's thoughts. You have to be okay not being embarrassed. And I think that's really like the last piece of the puzzle is like, let go. And I don't know if these are like the right actionable steps, but these are my steps. Like get over your fear of embarrassment, because I think that is for so many things in life and in business, but especially around getting dressed. People feel so many limiting beliefs and they feel fear and they feel embarrassment. Yeah. And I think I just wear whatever I want to wear. And I've always been like that. In 5th grade, I put my calculator watch on my ankle with my Gap color block rugby shirt in primary colors and tight rolled my jeans with my boat shoes. And I got made fun of in the line at school for wearing my calculator watch on my ankle. And like, it's a core memory and nobody can take that away from me. And I'm sure I set a trend at some point.
I was going to say, absolute trendsetter.
I think about the trends that I set growing up that are like popular now. I think you just have to remember that at the end of the day, you're going to inspire someone with the risk that you take. And most of all, you're going to inspire yourself because you're going to look back and say, I did a really hard thing today. Like I took a risk on myself. I stepped outside of my box. It paid off. Whatever it is, you checked off the hard thing. Yeah. So if you can get over your fear of embarrassment, it's going to open every door for you, especially the style doors.
You're bringing me back to phase 1 of this style transformation journey for me was I'd gone through a pretty big style transformation process in preparation for taking my book cover photo. Included complete transformation of my hair, makeup, all of it. And you know what it was is back to being seen, I felt like it drew too much attention to wear a really bold lip color. And I remember taking that on as a personal challenge that I found this red lip color that I figured out looked good on me. And I would make myself wear it just going to the grocery store. So I would practice that in small ways because what you're helping me connect to the dots on here is, the true power of style is when we take those risks, when we allow ourselves to be a little bit more bold, a little bit more seen, because when we do that scary thing, it's the same thing when we take a scary action in our business. That's what builds the confidence.
Yes.
I don't have the confidence first, and then I wear the outfit, and then people see and feel what they experience from me. A lot of times, and you and I have a lot of these moments where we'll go in my closet and we'll create just the weirdest combinations of outfits. Some of them never see the light of day.
Thank God.
But we don't know until we try. And so allowing yourself to experiment is, I'm going to add on to your list because this is so good. And then back to your point about allowing yourself those moments of discomfort, because that's where the confidence is built. Start with the small thing. Maybe it's a bold lip color. Maybe it's a statement earring that for you, that's a stretch. But notice how you feel when you go out in the world wearing that thing and know that that's exactly how you get to build the confidence.
Well, and notice what people say to you. Like I said, when I walk in the room when I'm feeling at my worst and people start complimenting me, imagine what happens when you take a risk and you show up in something. I've put a client in a head to toe sequin cat suit, and like the amount of text messages I got and just, the response I got to that, it's like, it was such a risk, but it paid off. And luckily that person trusted me at the time, but I know we don't always have a stylist at our fingertips, and we just have to trust ourselves in that moment.
Yeah.
What is the worst that can happen? I think fashion exists so risks can happen. Otherwise, these pieces wouldn't be made. They were made by somebody who wants you to wear them. And I believe that life is so incredibly short that if you don't wear the thing, it's a huge loss for you. Like it's not that serious. But I understand the fear around getting dressed. And I understand that not everyone understands how to embrace that power behind style. But if you can do the small actionable steps of the red lip, or even just putting on a statement earring, or try silver if you're a gold girly. Ooh, risk.
Scandalous.
Scandalous. I'm serious. Like, if you just do something really small that takes you outside of your comfort zone that you think is such a big deal, like see what happens when people see you and report back.
Yeah, and let us know.
Please
DM us. Okay, so while we're still on this topic of style, because I want to transition to talking about some of the other things you're doing in entrepreneurship, what do you think are the 3 easiest ways that someone can upgrade their style with minimum effort and minimum money spent?
Ooh, resale. I am such a huge sustainable fashion advocate.
Yes.
sustainable fashion is having such a resurgence and moment right now. And I mean, it's always been around, but just with so many things happening in the fashion industry and fast fashion and waste, but just with the fact that people are loving what's old is new and vintage having a huge moment. And I have always been a sustainable fashion girly. I have so many pieces from my grandmother, and I love sourcing unique pieces for my clients, as you know. So you can find vintage and resale pieces at like no cost. So it might take a little bit of digging, but thrifting and vintage are at your fingertips on Etsy and Poshmark. And I'm giving away all the tips and tricks, but these are common websites, but places like one of my favorites, Kimono Dragon in New York City, or she's in Brooklyn, but she's online. I mean, I source tons of vintage from her, and she goes and sources all over the world. And you would think that her prices would be through the roof, and they're not. So shopping resale and thrifting are, I think, the keys to building a core wardrobe. That's like the number one thing I would say. And upgrading your accessories in general. I think accessories can make or break your outfit. And think I'm wearing just simple denim today. You're also wearing denim, but the accessories are really what catch the eye. I mean, the outfit is obviously amazing that you're wearing, but the first thing I'm drawn to is, the bling and the accessories and the gold, and just how you're pulling it all together with accessories, I think can make a huge difference. Thinking about hats and scarves, and now all the different ways people are incorporating different scarf ties, and there are just so many unique ways to tie a scarf and wear a tie and wear a hat or wear suspenders. There's just so many options available to people, and it doesn't have to be rocket science. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, TikTok. The last way I would say to do it would be maybe just find a core piece at a reasonable price that will go the distance. Because I think if you can find that one piece that transitions from maybe a suit look to something that you would wear with a skirt, like a blazer, for instance, having that workhorse like a blazer that you can wear over and over and over again, and you're getting really that cost per wear use out of it. That is it ends up being a very inexpensive way over time to keep upgrading your look and making it look leveled up, next level, I guess, for whatever the occasion may be. And I think a blazer over a little slip dress a thrifted slip dress can really elevate the look, and you're going to get so much mileage out of a blazer.
I'm just so grateful that I have you in my pocket in my life, because we've done so many of these little things. And what it's taught me is that style doesn't have to be complicated. Style doesn't have to be expensive. For a lot of events, I will repurpose things. I shop my own closet, and you've really taught me the value of that, of repurposing the things that I already own and love and giving them a new twist with the accessories or how I'm wearing them. So I'm so grateful for you. I'm so happy to have you back on the podcast to really get to dive deeper into your story. And the last thing I want to talk about, because you've had this beautiful transition from being in a service provider to realizing that you want to create something that's a little bit more scalable and starting a business with your sister called the Rescue Kit Company. So I want you just to share, I want to make sure we capture this on the podcast, because the Rescue Kit Company is the other thing that's such a staple in my closet. It is on set with me here today. It's on set with me at all major events. What inspired you to create a physical product? And then tell us a little bit about the Rescue Kit.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so glad to be literally ingrained in your life. I did that on purpose. Thank you for that. Thank you for all the support. Yeah. I mean, all of the work that I've done on set and all of the problems that I've solved, I've loved to call myself a professional problem solver in so many ways, but really physically solving fashion emergencies has become such a cornerstone of the work that I do, because I've been on hundreds of photo shoot sets and weddings and you name it, just behind the scenes styling projects. And I was realizing that real life disasters were happening just before my eyes on every set that I was on. And it was a wedding that I was the day of dresser for back in 2018, where somebody stepped on the back of the bride's dress and the zipper split. And as you know, when that happens, the zipper either needs to be sewn together or it needs to be replaced. And it was such a light bulb moment where when I had to sew her in with no sewing experience, I realized like, if I am having to do this, there are 2.5 million weddings happening a year in the US. Like it is happening somewhere else at this very moment. So I needed to create a tangible item that could be a consumer-based product that people could have if they can't have Risa on hand. You know, their stylist in a bag.
Cloning hasn't been invented yet.
Not yet.
This is the closest thing.
That's right. And I felt like it was also my love letter to the world, like my way of giving back and my way of being with the women of the world and the men, whoever wants to use it. But it's the legacy that I want to leave on this world. It's the stamp that I want to leave. And I envision it having a lot of legs and going in a lot of directions. And I do think that there's going to be a fashion emergency kit and styling tool for every occasion. But we had to start somewhere. So brides, you know, there are brides everywhere, every day, every moment. So my sister came on board with me and we officially launched in 2019. And it's been the greatest sort of passion project and addition to my styling experience, because the two go hand in hand. Every time I solve a problem, I innovate for the kit, and the list of what we want to patent and create gets longer and longer. It's a slow burn, but we are building something I think that will be everlasting. And I hope that every time a woman gets dressed and uses one of our products, that she knows how much blood, sweat, and tears. And honestly, it's my life's work. It's everything that I have been building and doing. It's who I am at my core. It's the way that I want to take care of people. And it's all stylist tested, stylist approved. It's the stuff that I use. And it's me in a bag. It's literally my brain in a bag. So yeah, that's been the best thing that's ever happened.
Well, and I'm so grateful that you did it, because there have been not full emergencies, but things that potentially could have just thwarted an event or a shoot. And having these tools on hand is the next best thing for when I can't fly you. We're not quite at the point that I can fly you everywhere with me. That's in the future. We're manifesting it. And it's been such a valuable tool. It's one of my favorite things to gift entrepreneur girlfriends who are getting married. So the Rescue Kit company, we'll make sure to link everything in the show notes so people can find it. It's such a great gift to give anyone in your life who has big life moments that they need to get dressed for.
Well, and thank you for all your support. You absolutely, speaking of like walking the talk, have been such a huge support, from putting us in swag bags of Powerhouse Women events to gifting to all of your friends, high profile, everybody in your life, just the people in your life, having us at Event Love with Lori. I mean, the list goes on and on. From the very beginning, it was, how can I support you? Here's how I'm going to pay for your product. You are the epitome of a good friend and girlfriend, but like also friend in entrepreneurship. And Jess and I are eternally grateful for you in that way.
Listen, I will never forget the day I was it was the first time I heard Jamie Kern-Lima speak. And she gifted the entire room this beautiful bracelet from her friend's company. And it was this moment, an exchange with the friend who mentioned that Jamie had purchased all of those products. And Jamie stood on stage and she said, the moment that you can financially afford to, she's like, pay full price for your friends' things. Pay full price when you gift them, when you pay them forward. And not that we've ever had the kind of relationship where we expect anything for free, but we actually had a powerful moment last summer where I said, I don't think you're charging me your full rate. Why not? Let's talk about this. I think this is probably something that at least one person listening needs to hear.
Yep.
So for me, I realized that I could feel a dynamic between us where I see you elevating. I see the people you're working with right now. And I also know that you love me and you want to work with me. And then when I reflected on it, I said, but now I'm at a place where I can pay your actual rate. And that would actually feel better for me to know that I'm compensating you at that level. It was expansive for me. I just remember it being kind of this random moment, but also I think for both of us expansive in different ways.
Oh, it was so impactful for me. I felt so seen. I felt so supported. Not that I've never felt that way. I've always felt that way, but in a way that it was just eye-opening. It was so respectful. It was so kind. I also felt so proud of you that you were like, I'm in a great place. Like I've achieved, like I felt proud of your achievements. I felt like proud of my achievements. It was so many things for me. It was special.
And I think just to speak to the reason it was powerful for both of us isn't because I'm that amazing. It's because I know your heart and I have the same heart where I want to give and give and give, especially to the people I love, especially to the people I've worked with for a long time. And there's something that happens. It's the same thing we're talking about in style. It's like getting to see ourselves. And it was important for me as your friend to elevate the way that I saw you, but also in doing it, I elevated the way I saw myself. It was kind of this new agreement that like, yes, we're going to keep working together and we've both elevated, and let's take this step and let's expand in this way. So this kind of ties together with everything we've been talking about too. If you're listening to this and you're like, gosh, never would I ever consider hiring a stylist that feels like, oh, could I spend that money on myself? You never know what that will do for your confidence, for the way you see yourself, not just in now the new outfits and the new way you style them and put them together, but those investments in yourself. One of the most valuable investments I've ever made is in my personal style and the way that I see myself. And you have been such a big part of that. I just really want to acknowledge that publicly, that, so much of what people see and acknowledge me for now in terms of I think it's the energy they're feeling from the way that I wear certain things. Yes, it's the creativity and what you bring and the extra sparkle that you put on top, but it's the way you make me feel in how I'm wearing it and the version of myself I get to see in your eyes. It helps me see myself in that way. And that's the biggest gift.
Well, you're my style inspiration. And I would just like to say that since that conversation that we had last summer, I have not discounted one person, just so you know.
That's what I like to hear.
Everyone pays full price. In fact, I think I raised my rate. So just so you know, the power of your belief in me, it changed the way that I did business after that. So that one, you were coaching me in that moment. And
this is what it's like to be my friend. When people are like, oh, I'd love to be Lindsay's friend. Get ready.
Just prepare yourself. Gird your loins. Really, truly.
But actually.
Literally. But you gave me, that was such a gift. It was. And your friendship is a gift. You've coached me in unsolicited and very subtle ways in the past. And I've appreciated all of those too, because, we're so supportive of each other. We don't, force ourselves on each other. Sometimes I do force style you. I don't apologize for that.
You say it's force style, but I'm like, no, please give me more ideas. This is not something that is a forcing. You can't force something on someone whose hands are wide open. Like, give me more.
Oh my gosh. But no, it was such a gift. It is a gift. And I thank you for that, because you reminded me that I have reached a new level and I am worthy of that, like you do for so many people. And I'm so grateful to you for that.
Kind. So tying this all together, how does that same idea translate for the woman listening into the way she dresses being a catalyst for how she sees and experiences herself?
We've all heard that phrase of how you dress is a form of good manners and how you respect yourself. And it is true in so many ways, but there is this like level of belief that comes with presentation and showing up. And I think everyone knows what it feels like when you show up for yourself and when you take that extra time to pour into yourself through what you're wearing and just kind of how you carry yourself when you walk in the room, when you are putting that effort in. And the feeling that you get with like taller shoulders and maybe a little bit of a heel, I mean, it's life-changing, and it has changed my life. The work that I've been able to do and the way that I get to watch women evolve and honestly have like pivotal moments for themselves, it is why I do what I do. I show up in my workout clothes to their house so they can be the hero in that moment. It's very rare that I'm going over the top and getting dressed because I want them to have that moment. I want them to like be the star of the show in that moment. And it's like, if you can just put yourself first when it comes to style and realize that even the small steps, even the little things like the red lip, like the ring, like the statement earring, even the little things can have such a huge impact, and then build on those little things. The next thing you know, like you're showing up head to toe and you are a changed person. Gift yourself those little things and make those baby steps, chip away just like you would at your finances or paying down your debt. Like, pay down your debt when it comes to your style. Like, get there, and you can do it. It's easier than you think.
And there's no better room to test out that new personality than the Powerhouse Women Event. And I mean, every year, I think we, in the back of our minds, we're like, how do we top this? And then we do. And I think we're going to do it again this year.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait. I cannot
Maybe one of my favorites ever. Oh, and I say that every year.
I know you do. And I love when you say it every year because it's true. It just gets better and better and better. It's like, you're just like a fine wine.
Well, and I think what it is that what you'll find in this process, if you feel called to this and feel called to explore style and how it can just be a reflection of your internal transformation, is that's the part that I love, is I become more and more authentic every year. So there's a deeper level of permission. There's a deeper level of embodiment of the confidence, the power, whatever it is that I want to portray. And so it comes out in the, not just the outfit, but how I wear it.
Totally.
And I think that's what I love to see for myself year after year. I know that it's probably fun watching like the style evolution if you're watching from the outside in, but from the inside out, I love the person that I have become and the woman who's wearing those outfits. That's the part. Every time I see Monica, who's my beautiful photographer, always sends me my pitch for the year with like a catalog of all the outfits she's photographed me in. And every year I look at it and I'm like, wow, like I can just remember the evolution I was going through and what that event year allowed me to express. And it's not just for me. That's how all of us in the room, especially the women who've come back year after year, I hope you all have a photo of yourself in the outfit you were wearing and remember how you felt. Remember the growth you were going through at that time. And that's my favorite part. It just so happens to be the external representation of it.
Well, that's the point right there. You are just putting the cherry on top. If you look back in your life and you look at the outfits you were wearing like in your childhood, or the most memorable moments like with your friendship with your best friend Jenna, or a vacation that you took that was special to you, like your core memories in life, and you think about the outfits you were wearing, or a special dance recital or an event on stage, whatever it is, like your outfits are tied to your core memories and what you were going through in your life. So if you can pay yourself the respect of showing up to celebrate where you are at in your life right in this moment at a place like the Powerhouse Women Event, you will look back on that one day and be able to say, I was doing my best in that moment, or I overcame this in that moment, or I showed up for myself in that moment, or I took this leap in that moment. Like it'll be attached to a core memory forever, and you'll be able to celebrate those milestones. And that's what fashion and style does for us. It creates a core memory. So
well said. And that's the perfect segue to a question that you've answered before, because you've been on the podcast before, but it's this opportunity for all of us to pause and acknowledge ourselves, to celebrate ourselves. So we just call it a powerhouse moment. It could be anything big or small that you want to pause right now and just reflect on and celebrate yourself for that moment that you showed up for yourself, or maybe it was a big win, but it can be anything big or small. I usually just tell people, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I ask, what's a recent powerhouse moment that you want to celebrate?
Oh gosh. You know, I recently went through like some serious grief. I lost my aunt, and she was my biggest cheerleader. And I found some things that when we were going through her stuff that were so special to me. And there was this like sheet of paper that had a list of 10 things that were like got the guidelines to life or whatever. And it was like lessons about life, and I'm carrying it around with me. It's going with me everywhere. I have a photo of it in my phone, and then I have the physical piece of paper. And she was such a huge supporter in all of the work that we did with Rescue Kit. And I called her every Sunday, and she was so, so, so special to me. And it was a really hard loss. And one of the things that recently happened, like right before we lost her, was we got on the website for davidsbridal.com with Rescue Kit Company, and
Which is a huge deal.
Which is so huge. And it's been a really hard, long road for us. And, you know, I think like she would be so proud because she was such a huge supporter. But like what I also want to say about that is I realized a lot of things with this grief and with her passing. You know, I realized a lot of things about myself. So the real powerhouse moment in that is I'm letting go of some things that I think like she would be so proud of. And I'm also celebrating some things that I know that she was also so proud of. And I feel this excitement about the future, because I think I'm going to live in a much more authentic and beautiful way in honor of her. And because of her, I'm proud of that. So that feels really powerful.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
And I love you.
I love you so
much for being here.
Thank you for having me, as always. I'm crying.
We started with tears. We're ending with tears. It's just us in a nutshell.